Okay, here's my initial starting hand. We've got 3 attempt transmutations and 2 prepare herbs. And as I said, we have these trade skills. These orange cards are trade skills. The attempt transmutation red is an action. Let's go through step by step. Now, the first step in your turn is to play trade skill cards. If you look down here in the lower left-hand corner of the card, it will say, this card says 1 money, 1 gold, or I can draw 1 card from my deck. I have to choose one of those. I can't do both of them on that same card. Whatever I choose, so let's say I want to take 1 money, right? Okay, so I grab my 1 money and add it to my total. I've played this card, it's done. Now, if I want to play another one, I can. I can play another trade skill card, but I have to play it for cards now. I can't play it for money. It has to be the other thing that you did not take. Now, keep in mind, there's other trade skill cards that are going to be changing throughout the game. So later on, you might get this one that allows you to take 3 money or 2 cards. So maybe I draw 2 cards first, but then I'm not going to get that 3 money. Maybe I only take 1 money then after that. So keep that in mind. But, so now that I've done my 1 money, I have to take that 1 card draw. This can be confusing at first because this is going to lead you cycling through your deck a little faster than in most of these games. So now I've got 4 attempt transmutations. Pretty much worthless to me, and I'll explain why in a moment. Alright, so these cards are just going to be here for now. They aren't doing me any good. So I'm going to take those out of our way for a moment because they're junk. One thing I want to explain is you cannot get rid of attempt transmutation. They do not go away. They do not disappear. There we go. Alright, I'm back. I realized my backlighting was off in this room, so that kind of made it a little harder to see some things. Okay, anyway, I'm back here, and now what I'm doing is I'm not going to attempt this transmutation, but right now I've done phase 1, trade skill. Phase 2 of my turn is to table. I can place 1 or 2 cards on my table, so I can just make this area my table. Okay. What you have to do is a card has to show this little table. It's not. There we go. This little icon here is called the table icon. You place it on the table. So if I have any of those cards in my hand, I can place 1 or 2 of them out there. Okay. Also, I could remove 1 or 2 cards from my table and put them in my hand. Could come in handy, not often does it. I could play 1 card to the table and discard 1 card from my table. The reason why that might be important is because maybe I had Aqua Regia and Serpent Scale on my table, but now all of a sudden I've got this Quicksilver, and I know I want to combine Quicksilver and Serpent Scale because I haven't tried it yet, and I don't want this Aqua Regia there because I have to combine what's on my table. So I want to get rid of this so I can place this and discard the other one. That's why you might want to do that. Otherwise, you've got to combine what's on your table because that's what alchemists do. They can't resist combining stuff. Apparently. But anyway, that's your table phase. I can't do that right now, so I'm not going to. Then it's experiment. Now I can play those actions. Attempt transmutation. Attempt transmutation is combining a blue and a green card, basically. That's really, in a nutshell, what it boils down to. So the blue and green. Yep, up top there, see? Alright, so we can combine those. That's what that allows me to do. Not going to do that. Can't do that because I don't have any yet. I can draw the top card from that reagent search deck that I put together. Do you remember that deck? Yeah, it's 3. I put together 3 of each of these, and I shuffled them into 1 random deck. and I can just take one of those for free. And that would be my one action. This is called the experiment phase, by the way, so once again, let me recap. You can play an action card, which would be attempt transmutation. Or I can draw the top card from that reagent search deck. I can buy up to 2 total reagent or journeyman trade skills and/or. So I could buy something here, I could buy something up there, I could buy something over here. I could buy up to 2 things. So I look at my money, I buy what I want. Up to 2. Or I could sell up to 2 agents. So I could sell these. These have a 0 cost, which means I'm getting 0 back. Anything that has a cost of 1 or more, so let's say I had Aqua Regia that I wanted to sell, even though it costs 4, I only get 1 back to sell it. Selling is not, you're not going to get back what you want. You're only going to get 1. Prepare herbs is useless. You're not going to get anything, but thin out your deck is basically what you're doing. So you can sell up to 2 things from your hand instead. Or you could buy 1 thing and sell 1 thing. So you can combine it however you want. You could also pay an assistant to automatically perform a previously discovered formula, which doesn't make sense now because we haven't discovered any formulas yet. But let's see if we can come back to that and talk about that later. Then we do what's called pause and consider. We discard our hand and draw 5 new cards, and then our turn is over and play passes to the left. What am I going to do this turn, though? I've got 4 money. I can look at maybe buying a couple cheap things here. What I'm going to do is this. So what am I going to do with my money? Well, I want to buy infused oils because it increases my gold production. Let me see here. To 2. Okay? And gold is hard to get early on. This cost me 3 though, so I'm spending $3 out of my 4 right away. Alright, but I'm buying it. Goes to your discard pile, just like any other deck building game. Now what am I going to do? I've got 1 money left. Well, with 1, I could buy Vile Thorn or Lead. Keep in mind, I can buy up to 2 things. I can't take anything from the reagent deck because that would have been my whole action for experimenting. I'm going to buy Vile Thorn, this green one. And even though I don't have a blue one at this time, keep in mind, I can table something, so I could potentially see it a little bit later on. Tabling is nice. So now I'm putting out my new cards. Now you see I only have 4. There are 10 cards in my deck, but keep in mind I drew an extra one because of the Prepare Herbs. So now I've got to shuffle this deck already here. Okay. And let's see what that next card is. It's probably going to be Turble. And we'll pretend like we're playing with somebody else, but they're not paying attention. So, alright, so I got Prepare Herbs, and Prepare Herbs. So a lot of that. So I guess on this is my new turn. Trade skill, once again, I use 1, gain 1 money. Draw a card, let's go ahead and do that. And, well, there's lots of herbs, but can't really do anything there. I don't have anything to table once again, so I can't attempt a transmutation. I don't have those. I have to have a blue and a green either on my table, in my hand, or a combination of both to do this. It's going to be interesting once we get this done, but let's hang in there for another moment. I'm going to try and get a reagent for free, because I only have 1 money. What the heck? Let's just take a reagent. Alright, I've got Quicksilver. Quicksilver, very nice. I got a blue card. That's what I wanted, because I already bought a green. Blue and green equals something cool. So, here we go. This goes in my discard pile. And I can't do anything else. That was my turn. I took that thing for free. I draw a new hand. I got Vile Thorn. Infuse oils. Oh, good, good, good. Attempt a transmutation. Attempt another transmutation. Let me focus. Alright. Okay. Play passes around. Comes back to me. Infuse oils. I'm going to take 2 money. So now I'm up to 3 money. That's good. Good, good, good. Alright, table. I get to table something now. I'm tabling that Vilethorn, because I want to get that out. And this is going to be, oh, this is going to be great. Alright, anyway. I can't do a transmutation yet. I still don't have any blue. What I'm going to do, though, I don't think I want to spend too much of my money yet. Well, I'm going to take another random reagent card, so let's see what happens. Aqua Regia, that's an expensive one. It costs me 4 normally. I'm glad that I got that. So, Vilethorn's out there. Draw, back up to 5. Alright, so now, this turn is where things could start happening. Actually, I'm going to switch this die out because it's hard to see the numbers. Alright, so we've got, oh, Infuse Oils came back out. Prepare Herbs. This doesn't count against my hand here either. Alright. Ah, Quicksilver. Alright, so this is a turn I'm going to get to show you something. Alright, this is going to be great. First of all, what do I want to do? I want to take 2 money. My first card. Makes sense to me, right? 2 money. So now I've got $5. That's good. I'm going to draw a card, prepare herbs, another attempt transmutation. Alright, well, no big deal. Now I can table this if I want. It's really irrelevant at this point, but whatever. I'll table it. And now, for my experiment phase, we're going to attempt a transmutation. So, let's read what attempt transmutation says. Play this card from your hand as an action on your turn to attempt a transmutation using all the cards on your table, if any, and any cards you choose to add from your hand. So how do we do this transmutation? Well, see these numbers here in this red vial? This is your volatility number. And you add these 2 things together. Now there are items that will make it easier. But right now we add these 2, 4. So I have to roll a 4 or better to combine these 2 and make something out of them. So 4. Can I do it? I rolled a 5. Voila. So now what happens, you say? And what would have happened if I failed? Well, let me explain. If I failed, it would have been simple. I would have, first of all, if I would look at the XY axis here. So Vilethorn meets up with Quicksilver right here. I'd look and reveal to everybody what's there, which is Incomplete Philosopher's Stone. And what that says is you may take an Incomplete Philosopher's Stone card from the supply of effect cards, or I guess effect isn't really the right word. I think it's artifact is what it should be called, but anyway, if there's one available upon successful transmutation of this formula. Okay, now if I didn't do that, now everybody knows what happens if it does get completed. So maybe now I'm like, oh, I really need to get this going. I can't afford to let that one pass me by again. And then I take an experience token, which I could use on later turns to add 1 to my roll. And I could use multiple ones of those, but you can have a maximum of 5 of those. Alright, but I didn't. I completed it. So now I can take that Incomplete Philosopher's Stone, and I search through this deck, and let's take a look at this card. Now I'm going to gain this. It's going to go to my discard pile. Alright, let's see here. You may include this card from your hand or table. And I'm covering up that symbol. You can table this card. To reduce the difficulty of a transmutation attempt by 1, discard after any transmutation attempt. This artifact also serves as an attempt transmutation action card. So if for some reason you didn't draw one, which I found very unlikely since you can't get rid of attempt transmutations in this game, but it's unlikely. But anyway, you see that blue beaker means I subtract 1 from the volatility level. So if I added it on to these, which was at a 4, it'd go down to a 3. Alright, so that's one good thing. I completed this, but now, bum bum bum, there's a card underneath of it. Since I was the first one to complete this, now I get to take a look. And what do I have? I have calcination. It says research preparation. Alright, so this is another good card because you can see down here that beaker, -1, makes it easier. So I'm not really going to go over it, but it's another card that I can table, and it's an item that can sit on my table and help me out. That's what I want. The more of those I have out, the better. Some of them will just stay out, and there's different things that will happen. And this one says if your transmutation fails, even with the aid of this technique, you may take an additional experience token, but you still have to discard this card. But it's kind of cool, you know. It adds a little bit to you. But anyway, you discard all these cards. They go to my discard pile. Okay, so now I've researched this. I've done good for something, right? And that is a big part of the game. Is that now another thing that a person could do on their turn? And let's say they don't want to risk rolling for the 1 and the 3. Let's say they screw up their roll every time, because sometimes things happen. You can, on your turn, instead of actually rolling the die, you can pay an assistant to automatically discover it. And maybe you don't have these items, and that's fine. You don't have to gain those items in your deck either, because what you do is you look at the cost of these, and you pay the cost. So 2 and 1, I would pay 3 money. Let's say it's the other player decides to do this. They pay 3 money, and they automatically complete this part. But it's only for something that's been successfully discovered, a previously discovered formula. And it can't be used for one of those clue formulas that we talked about earlier. It can only be used for like something like this. So they gain that incomplete Philosopher's Stone cards. They really want that in their hand or in their deck, and that's how they would get it. And then they wouldn't have to buy Quicksilver. They wouldn't have to buy Vilethorn, or they wouldn't have to roll either. They just get that. They paid an apprentice to do that. So that's something they can do instead of playing an action card or buying things. That's one of the options, and you'll see it on yonder placard. All right. And basically you keep doing this until, let's see here. I'm going to try and find, alright, so Magnum Opus clue, like Rubido. You would gain one of these cards up here, Rubido. And so I need Vitriol is one of the things that I need to complete my Magnum Opus. And eventually you'll get 3 of those, because you can only get 1 from the Rubido pile and 1 from the Putrefactio and the Albedo. Then you'll know all 3 things that you want to combine. And that's the only time you can combine 3 things, is when you're going to combine your Magnum Opus. These don't go in your deck, they just sit off to the side and are basically your goal of what to get. So these are super important. These are your goal. You have to figure out what your goal is in order to get it, though. So set them aside, know what you got to get, and sometimes you might want to buy multiple Vitriol so you can get those, put them on your table, combine them all in one big action, and if you're the first one to do it, you're the winner. That's it. The game's simple, but yet it's so challenging. And there's lots of different little challenges in this game, and it's fun because you're discovering things. Not only do you, sometimes some of these things are terrible things. One is transmute gold into lead, and you have to transmute, you get all these lead cards in your deck, and it's useless, and it bogs you down. But then you get these cool things like Flammel's Notes, or you might actually, there's a few catch-up cards in here, in case other people have gotten a bunch of clues and you don't, it's built in to where you can get some clues so that you're not lagging so far behind. One tip that I'll give is don't overlook infused oils getting that early, because otherwise your money will drain quick. Don't overlook that. Don't overlook how you can get those cheap reagents. Those are very important things. This game has lots of options. I always recommend playing with the extra characters, though, just to add a little extra spice to the game. It's fun. But do deal each person 2, because some of the characters aren't very good. I'll be honest. But other than that, the game is simple at its heart. There's a few confusing things with the transmute lead into gold, where if you do the gold action, you have to make a transmutation roll of 5, and you can't use experience tokens to get that 5, but you're getting 5 money if you make that roll successfully. So I know I've gone on a long time here about this game, but the reason I'm going on and making this a longer one is because I wanted to show you how to play it. And I didn't want to just show you how to play it. I wanted to tell you how I felt about this game. Ian Stedman, thank you for a great game. Yeah, the negative drawback might be this die. But at the end of the day, the odds do seem to even out. And you do have these experience tokens. And I'll tell you something interesting. The first time my wife played, I explained to her, hey, the goal is to get these clue cards, to get those cards up there, to figure out what your goal is, and then combine those. So meanwhile, the 2 other people and I, so that's 3 of us, were kind of diddling around, going after some other stuff out here to improve our deck, improve our deck, improve our deck. And she just went for the end goal, and boom, she whipped us. I mean, she beat us while we were still trying to modify and make things better, and she got what the goal was. And at the same time, we were still working on improving our deck, where maybe we should have been trying to get towards that end goal. But sometimes that can be hard, because I'll be honest, I handicapped myself early by not going and getting some of those infused oils. Get some of those infused oils early, at least one of them, to increase your gold flow, because gold is important. Either that, or you're going to have some lucky searches in that reagent deck, which I did in this little demonstration. But that's not going to happen every time. A lot of times you'll buy, alright, so I might buy Vilethorn, but then I'll search in that reagent deck, and I'll get another Vilethorn, and that would have been useless to me. But I can sell, I guess, that Vilethorn for 1 money eventually, but I don't want to do that. That's a wasted turn. So, it's a little bit of randomness, but those random elements in the game make it a little more accessible, make it to where anybody could win, but you still have to have an idea of what you're doing. And, you know, some people will try and put together, you know, some of these more volatile chemicals earlier. You know, Aqua Regia costs you 4, and it's got a 1 volatility. Vilethorn costs you 1, and it's got a 1 volatility. So you're talking 5 to get an easy thing to mix together. But lead's cheap, but it's got a 4 volatility. So there's such a balancing act there going on. You know, so if I buy lead, which is dirt cheap, I'm handicapping myself and making my rolls a lot harder. So do I want to buy lead early on because it's cheap? Do I want to buy Vilethorn early on because it's cheap and not volatile? But what if the person next to me buys it? You know, lots of things to keep in mind. This game, for me, just does it right. It takes deck building and it changes it. It spins it on its head and says, here's some fun other things that we can do with deck building that we haven't really tried before. And I say kudos, because a lot, I mean, I'm going to say, I got Shadowrun Crossfire, and it feels a little bit samey in some areas, Shadowrun Crossfire, for example, as to other games. I still really like it a lot. But this game feels different enough where you'll want to keep playing it because it's unique. So if that, the whole genre that it's in, the whole theme that it's using is different. Hasn't been overly used, but it's been used. You know, there's like Compounded and some other stuff that's come out recently, or on Kickstarter, and I really dig this game. I dig it. You should dig it. You should buy it. Clever Mojo puts out some great games, and this is one of the best of the year. The components are very good. I will not complain about the components. It's Tuckbox City. My only complaint is a laborious setup, and you saw that. So I apologize for a long video. I hope you watched and at least enjoyed it and got a view of maybe if you like it or not. I really hope I haven't talked your ear off. We hope to see you again on the Game Academy. Thanks if you're still listening. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it.